Hello everybody, welcome to my channel and thank you for joining. Now in today's episode we have the Captain's Corner. Just coming down. Okay, last week everybody was happy. Okay, I think we made everybody happy. It's the first time I've seen a whole bunch of happy people. Just coming down. Now our experts, let's have a look how they are ranked. Well, two of them gave us a 159 because they had Petrarca in their team. The others didn't have Petrarca, so they couldn't pick Petrarca. But these two did. Just coming down, these two. Now, we had a few 137s. All these people, who they picked? They picked Merritt. They were actually unlucky. Merritt was on 104, 102 at half time. He could have gone massive. They could have gone 200s. We've had a few 123s. They're not bad. And we had three of them. They had a tough week. Just coming down these three now. We're expecting a bigger week from these three. Okay, Nick, JS, and Nighthawk. 113 and there's two 111s. I think that's the Bont and somebody else. Anyway, let's have a look at their tips this week. Who they pick? Let's find out. First up, we're starting with JS. This is hashtag DidacDT. If you want to follow him on Twitter. Now, first round, he had a 111. He went to Bont. The Bont didn't perform. But he hasn't worked out this week. He says English into Taranto for sure. It's guaranteed. Okay, so let's put it in. VC on English and a C on Taranto. Okay, let's lock it in. We now move over to LegendTen. Well, at Twitter, you can find him at LGNDhen_23. Okay, now, who has he picked? Now, keep in mind, LegendTen, his average is 145. Well, it was until last week. Last week, he scored a 123, so his average might have dropped down to about 142 now. Just coming down, still good. Now, who has he picked? Now, he says, Timmy English, VC, Dunkley C. Says, some things happened, and I just can't come down. Two new people get the armband for me this week. Timmy against Old Man Lysette. It says it's a 130 plus minimum. Okay, then it says, while Dunkley's form is undeniable, and against the Hawks, it's time for another ceiling game. It says, good luck this week to everybody. Just coming down. Okay, let's lock it in. VC. Actually, I'm just going to write ENG. Actually, I won't be lazy. Just come down. I'll do the whole thing now. And C will go to Dunkley, all the dunks. Okay, let's move on. We now move over to Rustic. His Twitter handle is at Rustic_X. Last week, Rustic gave us a 137. He went for Merritt. Now, let's have a look who he's picked this week. He says, all right, I think I'm going to have a look or have to lock in Bont into Laird. Okay, he's gone Bont to Laird. He says, Oliver and Sarong had my interest early, but subtle injuries may hinder performance. Lloyd and Marshall were very hard to look past due to points being leaked by opposite teams in their positions. But Bont proved himself against Port and can hopefully again. It says Laird against West Coast. He'll be fun to watch. Go big for us, Lairdy, he says. So let's lock it in. VC is going to be, actually, let's make VC capital. VC is going to be Bont. And the C is Laird. Okay, good luck, young man. Let's continue. Next up is Robo. Okay, is a hashtag at Robobo44311. It sounds like James Bond. Just coming down. Okay, now he scored a 137 last week as well. He says, "G'day Abs, how are you, my friend? This week's VC for me is Dunkley." He's gone for Dunkley. Okay, not a bad move. He says, against the Hawks and Dawson against the Eagles. If I owned English, I would VC him. So he's gone Dawson as the captain, Dunkley as the vice-captain. He says if he owned English, he'd VC him because against Port, he's going to go huge, okay? He's flipping the coin between Dunkley and Dawson as the C, but he's got Dunkley as the VC, so I'm assuming it's Dunkley VC. Just coming down. Okay, let's put it in now. Okay, VC is Dunkley, and the C is Dawson. Okay, let's move to the next one. We now go over to Mitch. His Twitter handle at mwilson_44. He must be 44 years old, I think. That's why it's 44. Just coming down. We learned his secrets. Anyway, last week he scored a 123. That's a good score for us. I think that's Dacos. Now, who has he picked this week? Let's have a look. What does he say? He says, happy to put the vice captain on Steele. Now, that's another different one. As after a week off, I think he's primed for a big one. Will captain Bont, who is a safe play. Okay, the good thing is everyone's gone different. Okay, it's going to be hard to work out what to choose from. Okay, we've got too much variety now. VC is Steele. And the C is the Bont. Now, all 5 have been different. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Let's have a look at what Nick's got to say. Let's continue. We go over to Nick. Now, it's his Twitter handle is at LegendTen. Okay, now, what did he score last week? How did Nick go? Well, Nick went at 111. Okay, Nick is going for some outsiders now. Let's have a look at what Nick's done. He says, VC on Marshall. Now, Nick's gone different as well. And it says C on Dawson. Now, that's the second one on Dawson as a C. He says here, he's giving me a little story now. He says, a wise man once said, and this is the quote, feels good not owning Marshall, unquote. At quarter time of the Port game, Marshall went on to score 159. So, obviously, the person that said this had to eat his words. And that person is ranked 122, despite not owning Marshall. So, there's a shout-out to show me your status. Just coming down. If you're watching, that is. And he says, Dawson fullback C, because O'Neill ain't going to do poo-poo to the Man Mountain. Now, Giordano, and he loves Adelaide Oval. Stats shown to me by AFL fantasy legend Pav Minimonk. If I owned English, he'd be the easiest VC of the year, he says. So, but like myself, we don't own English. I think we're going to be in trouble this week. Now, VC is Marshall. And the C is Dawson. Good luck, young man. Okay, let's go to the next one. We now go over to Cade. Now, last week, Cade also went at 137. He also went merits. Now, Cade's Twitter handle is at Cade. It's a phone number, I think. I don't know what this is. What kind of numbers are you putting up here, Cade? 7120-4485. Okay, that could be the year he was born. Just coming down. She's not even born yet. Anyway, he says VC Bont because he's the Bont. And it says C on Laird because it's against West Coast. He thinks West Coast is poo-poo, just coming down. Okay, so we have another new one. Difference. VC Bont. Okay, and the C is Laird. Okay, the variety this week is so good. It's all very different. Actually, Rustic and Cade have gone the same direction. VC Bont, C Laird. Okay, let's continue. We now move over to Jayden. His Twitter handle is at Jayden Bailey 13. Last week, Jayden picked Petrarca, went 159. Now, let's see if he's going to go for Petrarca again. Now, who's he gone? He says, C on English. A few rucks have gone well above season average. Actually, no, hang on. He's changed it all. He changed everything, just coming down. He says, I hope it's not too late. I'm no longer trading in Lloyd, so I'm going VC on English. Okay, so it's VC English. A few rucks have gone well above season average against Port, and hopefully he follows suit. So VC's on English. He was going to bring in Lloyd this week. He's now changed his mind, and he's going Dacos as a C. Okay, well, Dacos is the captain. Just coming down. This is different again. Okay, so VC English. Now, it's going to be interesting if English fails, okay, this week. The C options, there's so much variety. Dacos is a C. Okay, thank you, Jayden. Good luck once again, young man. Let's move over to the next one. We now go over to Sebastian. It's at Sebastian turn B7. That's his Twitter handle. Now, how did Sebastian go last week? He went at 123. Okay, now let's have a look who's picked this week. He says, hey, mate, so sorry for being late. It's okay, just coming down. He says, VC on Marshall went 156 against Sydney last year, and with Hickey as a solo ruck. Okay, that's a good choice. He says, Sydney have allowed 3 scores above 140 from rucks. willing to take a punt, and hopefully he is well rested and ready to dominate. And he's gone C as Dawson. After a few average scores, I reckon he makes it his mission to destroy the struggling Eagles. Okay, so we have another different one. VC goes on to Marshall. And the C goes on to Dawson. Now, Dawson is now leading the way at the C. Dawson's on 3 of them. Marshall has taken 2. It looks like English is leading the way at the moment as the VC, although Marshall is catching up. Okay, let's move over to the next one. We now move over to Berlin. Okay, now Berlin's Twitter handle is at Berlin Ashton. Okay, 28. He's a young man. Now, how did he go last week? He went 137 as well. We also went for merits. Now, this week, he says he's gone with early selections, but hopefully it's all good. Now, Berlin was so keen on his selections, he gave it to me on Monday. He was that confidence. Now, he says VC on Lloyd has the role currently at the Swans. Saints giving up monster scores to defenders this year. So VC on Lloyd, another different one. And he says C on Dunks. Last free average of 134. It's not bad. If Hawks tag, it will be Neil, which leaves Dunk to run free. So he thinks Dunks are going to go nuts. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's put this down. VC on Lloyd. And the C on Dunkley. Okay, let's move over to our next one. We now go over to Matthew. Okay, we now go over to Matthew. His Twitter handle is Matthew Alvin. Now, last week, we got a 123 from Matthew. And now, what's he doing this week? Let's have a look. He says, I'll do Neil as the VC against the Hawks. Should be freed up with Nash going to Dunkley. Could have a field day. Then fall back on Laird as captain. Save his houses against the Eagles, who he loves to play against. 145, 136, 120 in his last 3 against them. Okay, good. Now, another different one again. So we've gone VC, Neil, and C. Who's the C again? Laird. Okay, so Laird's catching up now. Laird and Dawson are fighting for the spots. Just coming down. Okay, next one. We now move over to TSO 1967. He's an old man. Just coming down, TSO. He's actually younger than me. Now it says, this is his hashtag, @thepower316. Now, what did TSO do last week? Well, TSO went huge, 137. Now, he says, hi. He says, English as VC, Petrarca C. Petrarca's the new recruit. He just got him in. Okay, and straight to captain. So, VC, English, C, Petrarca. Now, if English fails, there are so many different captain options at the moment. This is going to be a very interesting weekend. Okay, let's continue. We now move over to the young man, Engo, and his Twitter handle is @AllThingsSengo. Just coming down. Now, what did Engo do last week? Let's have a look. Engo also went 137, went the merit option. This week, he's gone English VC, Laird C. English against easiest ruck team. Should go big. Laird has proven history against the weak Eagles. Back at Adelaide Oval, expecting a 140 plus. He's expecting a big one. Let's write this down. VC, English, C, Laird. Okay, let's move over to the next one. We now move over to a young lady here, Sue. Okay, she says, well, her Twitter handle is @BishopsBalls. Just coming down. Now, Sue last week had a 123. It was a decent score for a vice captain. And captain is 123. We'll take it every day of the week. Now, she says here, VC Marshall up against Hickey tonight and should dominate him, expecting 130 plus from Marshall. And C, English up against a weak opponent in Lysette. He should beat him in the ruck contest and easily, and can use his agility to spread from contest and break away from expecting 130 plus also. So, we've gone VC. No, it's not English. It's VC someone else. It's VC Marshall. And the C is on English. Now, English is a very popular boy this week. Okay, let's move over to our next one. We now have the Duke. His Twitter handle is @TheRealDuke. Now, last week, he went 159. He went Petrarca. He went nuts. Now, he's also ranked at 120, so he's having a good year, Duke. Now, he says, hey, mate, I've got my captain selections. I'll be going Bont into Dawson. Well, there's another different one. Now, he says, I think Bont is a great VC on any given week, as he has super high ceiling. His matchup is worrying as part of a most restrictive midfield team, although he scored 145 on them early in the year. Now, Dawson has been great this year. With the easiest matchup in the comp, he should go great. His poor scoring as of recently has been due to bad disposal efficiency. I think he can lift and go big against the easier matchups in the comp. If you're to go lead instead of, I think it's just as highly of him. Just gut feel tells me it's Dawson, he says. So, we've gone here. VC Bont. C Dawson. Dawson's coming back. Okay, now, next one. Next up, it's Inside Mids. Twitter handle is @SC_Inside Mids. Last week, they went at 137. They had merits. He's a happy boy. Now, he says this week, VC English versus Port. 139 against Leicester early in the year, and coming off a big one against the Cats. Yeah, I'm regretting not owning English. It's hurting so much. Now, he says C on lead versus West Coast. 134 from his last 3 against West Coast, and they're the easiest midfield to score against. Okay, so VC English and a C on lead. Looks like it's going to be a toss-up between Lead and Dunkley at the moment. Sorry, Lead and Dawson. Also, Dunkley's in there. Okay, let's continue. We now move over to Januff. Okay, the mastermind. Okay, he says, well, his Twitter handle, if you're not following him, you should be. It's @JanuffFernando 4. And last week, Januff went at 137 as well. He also picked merits. Now, this week, Vice Captain Tim English. I can't believe Tim English is so strong this week. I'm actually hoping that he doesn't go too well. Okay, now, Tim English, strong 3-round average of 126. Scored 139 against Port early in the year. Strong average versus top 8 teams, 142. And gut feel, he has a big game. I hope you're wrong. Just coming down. Now, the C on Zach Merritt. Okay, this is another different one. Excellent 3-round average of 136 coming up versus Carlton. Likely without Shield, no tag threats, and very similar circumstances to her Richmond game. High enough floor to be my... Actually, that's a different one again. Okay, now, VC on English, and Januff has gone C on merits. Okay, just calm it down, everybody. All right, next up, we have the Nighthawk. His Twitter handle is @Nighthawk732. Now, last week, Nighthawk scored 113. He's going to come back from this now. He says, Bont VC into Oliver C, pending fitness. Just playing a straight bat this week, he says, with my 2 best players. Hopefully get a ceiling score from one of them. If Bont fails and Clary is out, I'll go lead as a C. So let's put down here, okay, VC Bont. Let's put C on Oliver. But if Oliver doesn't play, we'll switch it over to lead, okay? So we'll give him the switch. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We now go to our second last one. It's Pigmentality. His Twitter handle is @Pig_Mentality. Last week, he went at 123. This week, he's got VC Marshall playing against the Ruck combo that have the lowest hit-out win percentage in the league. We should leave lots of points on the board. 156 points for the last time he played against them at the SCG. Now, C, English, okay, playing against a team that give up the most Supercoach points to opposition ruckman. 156 points for the last time he played at Marvel. This is starting to scare me, this English stuff. It's coming down. Okay, now VC on Marshall and C on English. Okay, Next up, it's Kane from Dr. Supercoach. Okay, his Twitter handle is at Kano GEM. Gem, that is. Okay, now, last week, how did Kane go? Kane went 137. Now, Kane says this week, VC Team English. Okay, put out is the opposition. Need I say more? Best ruck matchup in the league. Lock to score well. So, we're going to lock in English for him. And for the C, he says Dawson. All his big scores have come at Adelaide Oval this year. And he comes up against West Coast, who give up the most points. It's an easy choice, he reckons. Just coming down. Okay, so let's put it in. VC, English, and C, Dawson. Now for our final verdict. Looks like English is the outright favourite. He scored 8 as a vice captain. 40% have gone on English. Now keep in mind, they don't all own English. They can only pick who they own. So they may have all gone on English, okay, but they don't own him, so they can't. Now, next up, Bont and Marshall, both got 4 each. So they're both 20% have gone for Bont, 20% on Marshall. Then Neil, Lloyd, Steele, and Dunkley make up the rest. And for the captain, it's going to be a toss-up between Dawson and Laird. Now, we're going to give Laird 5.5 because one of them went Oliver or Laird. So the outright favourites this week, okay, if you want to go with what the experts say, you have 2 options. English, if you own him, okay. If you don't own him, it's going to be Bont or Marshall. So English as a VC, and the C is most likely going to be Laird or Dawson, okay. That's our picks this week from the experts. Good luck, everybody, and just calm it down, okay. We'll be back next week with more Captain's episodes. And thank you for joining. And remember one thing. It's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. Ciao for now.
That's all, folks.